sensation of intense euphoria lingers in my memory as I recall the moment of realization that I had reached the final episode of Season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Yes! Yes!
While this episode may offer more in terms of action and visually stunning imagery, I must give credit to the showrunners of the season for maintaining an unparalleled level of consistency in their consistently sloppy writing. So good job on that front. So Bo Peep Katan informs the other Mandalorians that Moff Gideon is alive, something that I find very weird, given that the Mandalorians that were still alive on the planet in the region somehow did not know this. How did they not know this? If they were able to pick up the movement of Bo-Katan and her people entering through the atmosphere and moving on the planet, how did they not pick up Moff Gideon's movements? As Bo Peep is moving her people out, it just occurs to me that Baby Yoda is nowhere in sight. Where is Baby Grogu? It's very hard to miss him. No. Especially given the fact that the little thing isn't a gigantic mech. Then they give us a friendly reminder that the Mandalorian can fight, but then they give us another reminder that he can't completely do so without needing to be saved by someone.
No.
Grogu shows up and saves him by saying no. How he's able to do that and press the button at the same time, the world may never know. Why does he need to do that? I don't know.
Hey. I'm okay.
How did Grogu know to spray mist in his face, if that's what he's spraying? It's just very odd that the baby barely had any practice with this robot, and I didn't even know it had the ability to spray misty piss out of its hands. But somehow he does.
I'm gonna need you to be brave for me, okay?
Later, after Mando tells Grogu that he has to be brave, not like he wasn't already, Mando gets in contact with Bo Peep.
Dan, come in.
Received. Where are you?
We're safe. I escaped. I've got the kid.
Why are you telling her that? It's not like she cares. She didn't ask. She's supposed to be this great leader, but she didn't give a hippopotamus tit about the baby. I would even venture to say she completely forgot that Grogu even existed. She never even looked back or showed any concern to make sure the baby was okay, or to even issue him to the front. He's part of their group and she's known him for a long time, or at least for enough time now, and she knows how important he is to Mando. So you mean to tell me that because she thinks that Mando is dead or captured, she just completely forgot about him? My, it is good to know that if something actually happened to Mando, she would not take care of Grogu despite knowing how much Mando cared for him and how much he sacrificed for him. Be golly past the Molly, what a wonderful leader she is. Or maybe the writers are just suffering from some kind of marijuana-induced dementia. Why did the ship sound like a dinosaur taking a mean shit? Anyway, Mando asks for help from the little robot, who then gets attacked by these, I guess they're supposed to be security robots? But I don't know what the purpose of them is. All they do is look like shoes designed to bite your ankles, and even then they fail at that. They're literally useless. Who are these designed to take down? Later, we get a scene of all these clones of Moff Gideon. I'm guessing this is supposed to be integral to the story, and it's only shown to us via exposition just how important it is. I know they mentioned something about this in passing as the reason why Moff Gideon had Grogu, but it feels like a huge chunk of the information is missing because somehow it just doesn't feel like the big reveal the showrunners expected it to be. Either that, or you would have needed to watch Clone Wars or some other Star Wars property to get the intensity of it all. Again, for someone like me, who is new, it was completely lost on me.
Those are his clones.
I can't help but feel like the scene was straight out of Jurassic Park 3. Anyway, the Mandalorian gets rid of them all. I am genuinely surprised to witness the Mandalorians utilizing their jetpacks to travel such a significant distance. The entire sequence over the next few minutes of the Mandalorians flying to and fro to engage with the enemy showcases that their jetpacks have unlimited fuel. When early on, remember in the pterodactyl episode, they made it a point to showcase and to establish that the Mandalorians could not go a certain distance or very far at all.
I'm out of fuel. It always gets away.
So you mean to tell me that when the plot deems it so, they can't fly past a certain distance because their jetpacks will run out of fuel, but in the season finale, they have unlimited fuel, so they can have air fights for God knows how long after they've already flown long distances? Huh.
Interesting.
I also find it very interesting as well, now the plot deems it so, that Bo Peep has finally decided to use a darksaber after Moff Gideon reminded her that she had it. Don't get me wrong, the action is very pretty and aesthetic, and it feels like a visualizer delight. But unfortunately, moving pictures are not enough for me to ignore the very obvious issues with the writing, even in the last episode. And we're already halfway through the episode, mind you.
My clothes were finally going to be perfect. The best parts of me.
Din Djarin encounters Moff Gideon, who proceeds to deliver his customary villainous monologue. He reveals that he intended to acquire something he had never possessed before, the Force, which is why he had targeted Grogu.
You smothered them before they could draw their first breath.
And?
You know, I don't think Mando cares that he smothered them before they could take their first breath. I think he's well aware of what he did, and he fully intended to do so. Why do villains do this? I guess it's to, like, showcase their anger, to make them look more intimidating, and to let the main character know that they're angry and why they're gonna kill them. But it's so mustache twirly, and honestly makes Moff Gideon look a little less intimidating. I also don't understand why Gideon did not kill Mando when he had the chance. Why were they taking him away? What was the reason for keeping Mando alive? Was it for collateral? He never even seemed interested at this point in getting Grogu and never asked for him, so it's pretty bizarre. They kill the other Mandalorian guy, past Vizsla, even though, you know, he was kicking ass to every other trooper in the area, but failed against these people that don't even have jetpacks. But anyway, they downed him. But you have the one person who is almost single-handedly responsible for upending your plans, but yet again, you leave him alive even after he's killed your people. Has every individual present here who purportedly possesses war or battle experience forgotten that they have it, or did they never possess it in the first place? I do like the idea that Moff Gideon's suit is mechanized. It makes him imposing, and it kind of gives him an edge over the main characters. However, I still don't get the point of those Red Opera assassins, especially since, you know, they don't have jetpacks, and they always just appear from the shadows, even though Moff Gideon wanted to handle this himself. Also, you can see that they don't have jetpacks, at least it looks like they don't. Look how far away they are when they're approaching Mando. I don't understand why people don't use their jetpacks when it would be convenient to do so. Mando has enough time when he sees them coming from far away, he even walks up to them. He has enough time to use his jetpack to get out of the vicinity and take them out. It's so confusing how these red-clad assassins were able to fatally wound and kill Paz Vizsla with their weird saber thingies, but were unable to kill the Mandalorian despite striking him with those same weapons in those same areas. But that doesn't matter, because there are other aspects about this finale that just make me wanna pull my hair out and choke myself with the suffering strands. My husband was laughing at me because I was actually expressively angry. No. So Grogu comes in and starts doing his signature move, which is to say no by pressing the button. I'm sorry, but that little shtick is getting old. And then, oh my god. I'm trying to stay calm because it's not that serious. This is giving me some serious dumb movie Monday vibes. Please tell me why all three, every single last one of them, decide to go after him when he's clearly not the biggest threat. Where are they going? What are you? Don't ask me why two of them chose to not stay, you know, alongside the Mandalorian. Don't ask me why all three of them just didn't, you know, choose to finish off the Mandalorian before going after what is clearly not the biggest threat. Oh my god. I know some of you are gonna get very angry with me for not just sitting down like a good girl with my mouth open ready to receive some Disney jizz with the gratitude that it deserves, but Jesus Christ. At least give us something nice and creamy and worth swallowing. I know, it sounds weird. Probably should have used a better analogy, but I'm just so done with this. It's so stupid, and because they're so bright red, it makes it very apparent how stupid it is because you have no choice but to focus on them. So all you can see are these three things that have previously worked in tandem to take down a previous Mandalorian that they were able to successfully, by the way, and he was way more badass than all the other Mandalorians combined, that now chose, for some godforsaken reason, not to finish off this one, which is the biggest threat that they are already in the middle of trying to finish off. Are they robots? Are they robots that are designed to follow something else that's moving? Why is it written this way?
No!
There is one aspect that I did appreciate about the scene when the Mandalorian witnesses the red-clad assassins going after his bebe, and he exclaims in distress.
No!
You can hear in his voice the emotion and the fear of something happening to Grogu. I feel so sad and bad for him. I want to hug him and tell him it's gonna be okay. But then I want to kick him in the ass and shake him hard so that his brain jiggles around in his freaking helmet and ask him why in the snake's faw's uterus did he put Grogu in that thing in the first place? Grogu was always safer in his pod. He's totally exposed in that thing. Anyway, then we cut back to the aerial battle scene with the unlimited jet fuel, and they're all still just flying around. Didn't Bo Peep tell everyone they're gonna have to fight these people on the ground? I guess she didn't mean that literally. Oh my god. Oh, for frick's sake. It's killing the immersion for me when his legs are barely making contact with the ground, yet they want us to believe that he is running. Is this Sesame Street? I feel like in the earlier seasons, Grogu moved a little bit better, but then again, they knew their limit. It's giving me Wonder Woman 1984 vibes. Ew. Oh, Lord have mercy. Another thing I don't understand is everyone is wearing Beskar armor, right? And everyone that does has this flamethrower thing now. Surely they must have tested it to know that it doesn't really work against those who have Beskar armor. Then why do they keep using it on each other? Better yet, why does it not affect the parts of them that the armor isn't covering? If the undergarment portion of the armor is also immune to fire, then why do they even bother using it on each other when they've already established that it's not effective against someone wearing Beskar armor? Why didn't Moff Gideon remove the Mandalorian's armor? I mean, they said they disarmed him. One of the things that makes him hard to kill, supposedly, is the fact that he's wearing indestructible armor. Why did they not remove that as well? It just ends up looking really stupid and redundant. Once again, the scene cuts away to emphasize that the battle between the Mandalorians and the troopers has been ongoing for a significant amount of time. Yet nobody appears to be running out of fuel. I'm sorry to keep nitpicking at that, but there's a reason I'm doing it. It's to showcase the severe inconsistency with the story writing. If you're gonna make a big deal about emphasizing fuel limitations,
I'm out of fuel.
you can't just throw it out the window whenever you see fit. The reason why we have world building is because the established rules are consistent, making the world feel authentic. Unless the overall theme of the film or show is akin to The Matrix, where the main character's objective is to gain the power necessary to break the rules of the world, consistency is vital for establishing a believable fictional world.
I've got this. Go save your kid.
Oh my god. Oh my god, yet again, the Mandalorian has to be saved by Bo Peep Kador. I really was pulling my hair while watching this episode, and this was just yet another back-breaking camel-killing straw for me. How many times throughout his own show does Mando need to be saved by this fool? Why couldn't Bo Peep save Grogu? Why did the Mandalorian not bring up the fact that she didn't even try to save the child or look for him? Anyway, she tells him to go save his kid so she can have a lightsaber showdown with Gideon. Nostalgia. I'm guessing that's what that's supposed to be, or some kind of reference for that. But anyway, it's not very exciting because I'm too busy being upset. Anyway, the Mandalorian comes in to save his kid, and I shit you not. Oh my god. Throughout this season, I was wondering why Baby Yoda was not using the Force. He couldn't save Mando in the cave when Mando was captured by that big robot thing, but yet he was able to use it effectively to save himself in order to go and get Bo-Katan so that she could save Mando. Remember when he threw the Iceman cave thing? Right. And then the only other time I remember seeing Baby Yoda creature use his power is in the stupid Lizzo episode to help her cheat in some game.
At
this point, it really does feel like this thing is a gimmick. The rest of the time, we just never see him, even though the show started out with that as a focus and with him gaining strength. We never really see him use it. Many people did not see the Book of Boba Fett, so it would probably be confusing to them as to why in many scenarios where Grogu could have used it and would have been motivated to do so, such as the scene where his father is captured by Moff Gideon, he chose not to. Maybe like Bo-Katan, he forgot he had the power.
I've got the power!
No, you don't!
What also bothers me is the ease in which he does it. Look how just bored he looks. Like, yeah, I could have done that all along. God damn, it was such an easy thing to do, just flicking a speck of shit off my fingers. Even my poor husband was trying to make excuses by saying that it takes a lot of effort for him to use it, and that's supposedly why he hadn't been. I quickly rebutted him by saying that despite how weak he was in the first season, whenever his Mandalorian buddy, daddy, whatever you want to call him, was in danger, he strained himself to use the Force, and he got better as time went on, except they made a point not to show that because they were so freaking absent-minded in the season that they probably forgot he had the Force. Look at all the other times Mando was in danger and he definitely would have died. You mean to tell me that Grogu halted a massive 3,000-pound creature charging towards Din and heal very bad injuries, which I actually forgot about, has the ability, which was showcased before, to stop fire explosions in their track, can throw around stormtroopers pretty easily, which was already established much early on, like they were nothing, yet was unable to stop a simple robot that was much smaller than many of those things he faced when Din Djarin was obviously directly in danger?
Get to Bo-Katan.
Yes, because we need her, don't you know? When Mando was being captured by Gideon, Grogu didn't even try. He goes through hell and high water to get Princess Titty Milk over there so she can come and rescue them, but lifts not one finger to save his father. Especially when you consider that Grogu already knows who Moff Gideon is. He was captured by him. He's seen the evil things that Moff Gideon has done. He knows that his father is in the ultimate danger here and doesn't even try to use the Force. He just sits down there like a freaking rotten fruit, just staring and going, like we're supposed to think that's cute at this point. Oh, I know I'm gonna be angry, but Jesus Christ. Then somehow he ends up on the other side of the wall and manages to sneak past all the officers just in time to save Mando. And he doesn't use the Force to do it. He uses the stupid ass mech that he doesn't even have that much experience with. Is he unable to use the Force when he's using the robot?
No.
Why didn't he use the Force to stop the two Mandalorians when they were fighting on the ship? At his much earlier stage in his life, when he was highly inexperienced, even more so than he was now, he was able to just use his freaking finger to flip around the stormtroopers, like they were nothing. Why didn't he use the Force? In every moment where he could have, where it would have been necessary to do so, you know, for character building's sake, why didn't he use the Force? The writers need to get laid because it feels as though they're severely in need of some post-nut clarity. I'm sorry I'm getting so overly irate, but it's just really bugging me. It's almost as though they're deliberately trying to make the writing as terrible as possible. I feel as though everybody for this show submitted a draft for the script of the show and they accidentally chose the person who was the worst instead of the person who was the best. The person with the best draft probably ended up at the bottom and they chose it from the wrong order, and that's why we ended up with this. The only thing going for this show is the fact that it looks pretty and the soundtrack. That has been consistent. But now in the 11th hour, they're suddenly having Grogu use the Force left and right. Why wasn't he utilizing this power earlier when he was cornered by the lipstick-colored troopers? Just moments earlier.
No!
What is even the purpose of these troopers? Who are they? They're red. So they're supposed to have some kind of significance, right? Cinema often implies that bright colors like red are synonymous for something or very symbolic events or catalysts for the story, but yet these three stooges seem to be in red, highly distracting carnival colors for no freaking reason. To a Star Wars new viewer like me, it feels like the showrunners are using these garish colors to draw attention away from the glaring flaws in the plot, while ironically ending up showcasing them. Maybe there is some kind of significance to them, and they're from some other part of the Star Wars universe, and it's just lost on me, but that is more of a testament to how stupid the writing is. They keep showcasing these things, and if they do have significance within the greater Star Wars lore, they did fuck all to explain what their significance was. Anyway, stupid baby Yoda is using his force now, left and right, fighting with his father. Why wasn't he doing that before? I don't know why. Why wasn't he doing that before? Oh my god, I swear, the show's gonna make my hair turn white. If I were the film teacher for the class that handed the show in, I would fail them all, just on principle. You know, I used to think it was so unfair in film school, being that I was not an audio student and I went to school for videography and editing. And although I had a 100% score in all those other areas, because my audio in the final wasn't 100% crisp, I failed the entire course, or that's what they claimed would happen. That's right, for the final test you have these categories: lighting, cinematography, storyboarding, script coherence, and audio. And even though my major was not audio and there were specific people who were going to school for that, despite me getting 100% in all the other categories, because I did not get the full marks in audio, I failed. Or at least I would have failed. It's only because I told the teacher that I was going to drop out because I didn't think the system was exactly sensible, being that I was an A+ student who got 100% in every other final that I had, but because of one part of this category of which I am not a major I didn't get the full marks on, that means I'm going to fail the entire semester. That made them change their mind and give me another chance to fix the audio that I was able to pass and be on top of my class. By the way, every other student failed. Every single one. Remember that, guys. University is a business. Make sure you keep that in mind. But despite that, while I did not agree with them banking your entire success of the semester on the last exam in the way that they did, I do now understand why the test was constructed the way that it was. This was also an issue I found in a previous project I did for another class for lighting. The teacher told me my story was too long, I broke the 180 rule a couple of times, my hair wasn't lit properly, even though I showed all my peers and they said, oh, it's beautiful and moving. The teacher told me it was shit and to go and do it over again and to take it seriously. I cried because that was kind of harsh, but I went back and I saw it through his eyes and I realized my mistakes. It doesn't matter how artistic you make it. If you make a work of art like a movie or a TV show pretty and the whole thing doesn't come together coherently, then it showcases laziness. I was just a student. These people who make this show or came together to do the show probably went to school as well and have had other jobs like this and have probably been in the industry for a very long time, and they're getting paid millions. Many of these people working on these projects are getting paid more in a year than several of us together would get in a lifetime. And you mean to tell me that this is the best that they could come up with how they structured this season 3 story, especially given what they achieved with the 2 seasons before this? Really?
Am I rambling? I think I'm rambling.
Hand over the Darksaber, and I'll give you a warrior's death.
Like that ever works. Anyway, Moff Gideon crushes the Darksaber in Bo Peep's hand, and I don't know how her hand isn't broken, but yeah, this item that had so much significance throughout the entire show is just suddenly crushed and destroyed. Because the spaghetti monster needs to get married tomorrow and have a child with his next door neighbor, who's a gingerbread man from the Sharknado universe. Yeah, if you're scratching your head right now, metaphorically, I'm right there with you, because that ridiculous and cringy statement is exactly the style of logic that went into the script.
The Darksaber is gone.
No! We totally didn't realize that. Thank you so much, Moff, for confirming what our eyes could already see. Anyway, it's refreshing to see that she got beat up, because I was about to get mad if she stepped in and then she just immediately killed Moff Gideon. But then she says this cringy line. Oh my god.
Mandalorians are weak once they lose their trinkets.
Mandalorians are stronger together.
Does that mean that they're weaker on their own? Kind of feels like it, the way this episode's been going. Or the entire season. Mandalorians are weak if they're fighting by themselves, except if they're Bo-Katan. Okay, I know, I'm just being petty now, but seriously, I say to hell with the show because that's apparently what the writers have been saying this entire time. Din Djarin has a rare moment of stepping in, actually save his queen, and then a ship crashes through and lands in the area, and then Moff Gideon strikes a T-pose instead of trying to get away. so that he's burned by the explosion. Oh my god, I'm dead. Oh my god. Okay, and then he's burned up by the explosion. And then Grogu, who only realized that he had his powers and could use them to help his friends, even though he was doing that for the entirety of the first 2 seasons, uses his powers yet again to protect them again from an explosion, like something from out of the freaking Incredibles, which is already a scene that was already done. And it's wonderful and it's visually pleasing, and so our hearts should be elated and be swelling and just accept that this amazing spectacle confirms that the show is tremendous solely based on the action that we're seeing. Also, maybe I'm wrong about this, but we've seen that Beskar armor can be enveloped by flame and not affect the person wearing it. But apparently it does affect them, because I don't know. In this case, the fuel, I don't know. So while the music is swelling, sorry, and Grogu is doing the stupid thing with the Force, it's like we're supposed to expect that this is some kind of payoff, but there wasn't really anything leading up to this. Now, a better way to do a payoff is how they did it in season 1, when Din Djarin was saved by Grogu from the mud rhino, mud splatter, mudhorn thing. Grogu had been very weak and had been playing around with the Force, and that was the most he has ever done just so he could save Mando. I remember having the chills seeing that scene, and it's still one of my favorite scenes in all of TV, much less in the Mandalorian show. The soundtrack, the cinematography, the payoff, and the crescendo of it all was just too good. So much so that it felt like a movie. Oh, those were good times. The scene goes on way too long as though it's supposed to be some mega payoff. It isn't, so unprofessional. But no one said this was my profession. Then they make a big show of adopting Grogu into the Mandalorian cult, and I thought that Mando was already his father. I guess they're making it official, even though they were already referring to him as the Baby Yoda's father, so this part for me just made no sense and felt as though they were just grasping at straws to form some other emotional scene to get the audience somehow. However, it just felt wasted and unnecessary and redundant.
He is too young to speak, so he is too young to take the creed. He must remain a foundling.
But he wasn't too young to train, though. Wasn't that also part of your creed? And then he's like, well, if the parent gave permission, and then they go to the great lengths to be like, well, you can be his Faja. And then Grogu is officially his apprentice. And then there's a panning shot of them showing the mythosaur at the bottom of this deep lake as though it's more important. Nobody else has seen it, and nobody decided to go down there to see if they could see it too, to see if Bo-Katan was telling the truth. That's the first thing I would do when somebody who didn't follow the strictness of my religion, who's now claiming they're the leader, is saying that they saw it, or claiming that they saw something like this. I would send some people down there to go check it out. Not just take her word for it alone when there's no other witnesses. And they would have found it because it's apparently still sitting in exactly the same spot. It's supposed to be a happy ending because they give the forge lighter to freaking Boku. They relight the forge and yay, we're supposed to feel something, but we don't.
Shut the fuck up!
In the ending, Mando is supposed to have a happy ending and they leave it in such a way that it can be open-ended, but yet we still have some kind of conclusion and closure for our, I can't exactly call them our main character because, you know what I mean. Mando had also repurposed the useless mech to be the Marshal of Navarro. The stupid Men in Black Fu Manchu creatures were able to accomplish this, which makes me wonder, why did they not think of that before? It's not like they don't have androids already, so it never occurred to anyone to repurpose them as marshals? The ending of the show, and that cute little cinematic shot of Grogu playing with the frog using the Force, and Mando just being able to rock is supposed to be heartfelt, and for a moment it is. However, what would have made it feel more heartfelt is if he took off his helmet, but then again it wouldn't make sense because that whole thing just regressed into him doubling down on the stupid religion that they made a point to showcase was unnecessary with how strict it was because of how it separated the Mandalorians and Mando from the person he loved. Mando has already walked both worlds in season 2 and throughout the entire series. It showed Mando getting to a place where he wasn't as strict with his religion and he was willing to be more lenient for the people that he loved. He was realizing that his religion wasn't everything, and while he could still follow it, he didn't have to be a slave to it. And his personality personality type probably dictates that he's nothing without his tried and true tradition, which is fine, I guess, but it just feels as though they retconned a lot of this. My favorite part about season 3 is the fact that it's finally over. I'm not even interested in season 4 because I know that Mando's not going to be a central part of it. And really, there's no appeal for me to want to watch it now, if I'm being totally honest. ISTJ characters barely get main character screen time as it is in movies and TV. And one of the very rare ones we have is sidelined in his own damn show, of which he was the main character for 2 seasons! This was my introduction to Star Wars, and I fell in love with it, and it made me want to know more about the world of Star Wars. Season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian, even though it has its issues, its character building and payoffs made this season pale in comparison. It was one of the best shows out there, and it almost feels as though they really had nothing prepared for season 3, or they lost the actual script and then panicked and tried to come up with something quickly from what they could remember from what the original script contained. I'm really getting tired of studios messing up franchises, especially when they have seen what has already worked. Why change it up? Why shift the show to have a new main character 3 seasons in and then try to cap and say it was always about that? I'm so done with this. Maybe this is the reason I was never into TV shows. I don't know. I like things that are complete now because then at least you can gauge. Freaking Asian productions are 120% better than a lot of what America is putting out now, and they usually stay consistent with their characters and writing. I feel like I wasted my time. Anyway, it's gotten me to the point, sadly, where I really don't want to hear anything about The Mandalorian ever again. That's how bad a taste it's put in my mouth. I'm really sorry for those who do like it. I don't want to upset anyone. I'm glad you were able to enjoy the season if you did, but for me, the show ended at season 2, the end of season 2. It was a perfect ending and truly did not need to go past that. That's just my honest opinion. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.